Now let's meet Ronald Colman's daughter.
Number one, what is your name, please?
My name is Juliet Benita Colman.
Number two.
My name is Juliet Benita Colman.
Number three.
My name is Juliet Benita Coleman.
And listen carefully to the fond recollections of Juliet Benita Colman. I, Juliet Benita Colman, am proud to be Ronald Colman's daughter. My mother, Benita Hume, and my father were happily married for 20 years. During his career, my father made a total of 54 motion pictures. Here are some photographic highlights. First, with co-star Vilma Banky in The Two Lovers. And here, Ingrid Bergman visits my father and Marlene Dietrich on the set of Kismet. 1947 was the year that he and Loretta Young won the Academy Awards. And here is Ronald Colman with yet another leading lady, me, at the age of 3. It was said of my father that he was a man's man, but a woman's idol. Since I was only 13 when he died, it was necessary for me to do quite a bit of research on his life. After 5 years of work, I'm very happy to know Ronald Colman, and even happier to know my father. I've written a personal memoir of my father in a book called Ronald Colman, A Very Private Person. Signed, Juliet Benita Colman. And let's start the questioning with a doting mother, Kitty Carlisle.
Thank you. I cannot question because I first saw Juliet Benita Colman in her parents' house at the age of 4, coming down the stairs to greet the dinner guests, looking like a little princess. And she had one of the most beautiful mothers I've ever seen, and she had one of the most beautiful fathers I've ever seen. And I saw her again as a young girl in Switzerland, so I'm delighted to see her again, but I'm not going to say which one she is.
But you're going to therefore disqualify yourself, and disqualification counts automatically as a wrong vote. And thank you, Kitty. And let's go down, please, to Bill.
You know, I've never been all that good at recognizing faces. You all know it's one of my weak points, one of my many weak points. But number one, I'll begin with you, not just for any particular reason, but that picture that we saw with Ronald Colman was you or the one, is that right?
Of course it was.
You mean the little girl?
Yeah.
Yes.
She's changed so much. I mean, kids grow up. Kids grow up, it was a whole different nose. Number three, you had a beautiful nose then. That's the same nose you had when you had that picture taken?
Same nose.
I'll never be able to recognize faces or anything like that. Number two, do you recall when your father appeared on radio a great deal?
I certainly do.
Who was the man who always had Ronald Colman on at all times?
Well, he was on the Lux series on TV, and then, of course, the Halls of Ivy.
And number one, didn't Ronald Colman appear a great deal with Jack Benny on Jack Benny's?
Yes, of course he did.
Was that number one, was that Jack Benny's radio or was it his television show?
No, that was his radio show.
Number three, how many Oscars in all did Ronald Colman win? I know he...
Just one.
Just the one with Loretta Young. What was the picture that they had done for that one?
No, not with Loretta Young.
Oh, it wasn't?
No,
The
Shelley
picture was-
Winters.
It was, and what was number three? What was the picture?
A Double Life.
Number two, when your father was working in Hollywood, what studio was he connected with most of the time? I think he worked for several.
He started off with Goldwyn and worked with him for 7 years, and then was under contract with a variety of studios, Paramount, and so on and so forth.
The title number two of your book is...
I am very sorry, Bill. We're going please to Peggy.
Thank you. In A Double Life, he played a famous number 3. He played a famous Shakespearean character in A Double Life. Which one was that?
Played Othello.
Thank you. And number 1, he also played a famous detective. I loved those movies. Do you remember what...
In Raffles, he played
Thank you. Number 2, where was your father from originally?
He was from Richmond, a suburb of London.
Oh, I thought it was Richmond, Virginia, and I almost fainted. I couldn't believe the accent. He came from Richmond, Virginia. Oh, Richmond. Now, number 3, what brought him to this country?
Sorry, was that for me?
Yes, you're three, yes, please.
Theater and the hope that things were going to be better here than they were in England.
You mean that some big studio didn't import him, he just came over?
He just came over.
And how did he start here?
He started in the theater.
In New York?
In New York.
Thank you. Now, number 1, who played opposite your father in Halls of Ivy?
His wife, my mother.
Thank you. Number 2, didn't he get an Academy Award for The Tale of Two Cities?
He was nominated but didn't win.
A miscarriage of justice, my dear. I sobbed my eyes out. It was the best movie. Boy, I had nothing more to give. Oh, it was terrific. Number 2, who played opposite him in Lost Horizon?
Female or male?
Female.
Well, Margot was one of the characters, and also Jane Wyatt.
Thank you. Number 3, did he make his way out of the Lost
All
Horizon?
right,
See, I was
we
a
are
fan.
going, please, to Orson Bean.
You three are incredible. Kitty, I'd make it worth your while if you give me a hint.
Not a prayer. This goes on the level.
Number 1, what was your favorite of your father's movies?
I think I'd have to say it was The Light That Failed.
Ah, The Light That Failed.
Oh, I
wow.
didn't see that.
Number 3, had you always planned to write the book, or was it something that came upon you later?
Can't say that I'd always planned to do it, no,
Yeah.
but it took me a long time to do.
Well, number 2, writing about one's own famous father, did you have to check with a lot of people? I mean, he must have spent a lot of time away from you as a kid if he was working that hard.
He did, and I spent 4 years researching the book and
Yeah.
contacted 100 people, 150
You feel you know him
people.
better now than you did almost before?
I think so. I think I do.
Number 1, do you like him now? I mean, I know you loved him when
always
you were
loved my father,
a kid,
yes.
but
Yes.
the more you found out about him, the better you like him.
Yeah, it was very interesting to do.
Number 3, how about you? What's your favorite movie of his?
A Tale of Two Cities and The Light That Failed.
The Light That Failed too. Yeah.
What's The Light That Failed?
I wish we had about another half hour, but we don't. What we have is a bell, which means we must ballot, and we are going to mark ourselves for a number 1, or for a number 2, or for a number 3. And Kitty Carlisle, on the basis of a previous acquaintance, has disqualified
I'm voting for that
herself.
pretty little girl who came downstairs to greet me at the age of 4.
Yeah, nice round figure there, a 0, which counts as a disqualification. And we're going down to Bill Cullen.
Yeah, I've never been a big movie fan like Peggy was saying she is, but I hope, I didn't get a chance to ask a question. I hope Ronald Colman was, in real life, the way he projected the image. He had a great deal of, among other things, likableness about him.
Indeed,
He was the kind of fella. Anyway, number 3 I voted for because she has an accent, and her father had an accent. Must have gone there to school, so I vote for number 3.
Very well, so we got a 3 showing. And Miss Cass, please.
Was the greatest voice that ever came out of a human being, in my opinion. Well, anyway, I voted for number 3 because I think that she looks like her mother. And another thing, I never saw The Light That Failed. Where was I that year? Being kept after school, something I never saw.
Maybe that was the year you failed. We have got up here at 2, so we're going to Orson.
Well, Ronald Coleman's was the finest voice that ever came out of a human being, with the possible exception, Peggy, of your own. I voted for number 1 because of the strong family resemblance.
All
Number
right.
1?
The votes are in. Will the real Juliet Benita Coleman please stand up? And there she is. Thank you very much. Now let's go down and find out who we are. Number 1, I agree with Orson. If you put a mustache on number 1, if you can imagine it, if you can imagine it with a mustache, you would be. Could you turn profile to the camera for us, please? Really, she is. Well, anyhow, number 1, what is your real name? What do you do?
My name is Elizabeth Sykes. I'm a freelance needlepoint designer, and I live in Englewood, New Jersey.
I'll tell you. Number 2, tell me about you, my dear.
My name is Sharon Voris, and I work in the advertising department of Sotheby Park Burnett, and I live in Manhattan.
Good to have you. Miss Coleman, I want to thank you personally for this book because I know I'm going to enjoy it, and I want to thank particularly your father for all of us, for all of the many years of joy that he brought to us. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
In addition to the cash rewards, our first team of challenges will receive a Sarah Coventry necklace and earrings in gleaming silver tone with the Oriental look. Can be seen at Sarah Coventry home jewelry shows. Our second team will receive Turtle Wax, the world's largest selling liquid car wax. New improved hard shell formula. Cleans, polishes, protects in one easy operation. Turtle Wax with a hard shell finish.
I was just looking again at this picture of Ronald Coleman, and if that isn't the casting director's dream, you know, all he had to do was walk into a casting director's office, and he's got the part.
Yeah, yeah.
If they were looking for an 8-year-old girl, they said, we'll rewrite. You know, we want you. Great, great man. I'll tell you another guy with a great voice, too, is Claude Rains.
Oh, yes.
Quite different, but...
And let us not forget James Mason.
And James Mason
Andy
as well.
Devine.
And
Yes.
so great.
Andy
Until the next
Devine.
time, it's a far, far better thing that I say goodbye than I hang around.
Our central characters today will receive a spacious, roomy tote bag by American Tourister, designed to go everywhere by land, sea, or air. The strong, lightweight luggage by American Tourister. Promotional consideration provided by Best Western Motels, the nation's largest chain of 1,250 fine owner-operated motels and affiliated hotels in 900 cities throughout the United States, Canada, and Mexico. This is Bill Wendell speaking for To Tell the Truth, a Mark Goodson, Bill Totman production.